Is this book advocating a conspiracy theory?
You know, when we go for a physical stress test to a doctor, the idea is to find out not what is wrong, but what might go wrong under various stress conditions. So they put you under stress and they figure out how much stress your heart can take, your lungs can take, and all the different systems. Now the purpose, there is a similar stress test concept you do with any engineering system when you're building or designing a bridge or anything. You do a stress test to see how much load it can handle. You do a stress test to a corporate business plan to see how much stress of various conditions in the market it can handle. Similarly, what we are doing is a stress test of the nation. We are putting India into a stress test simulation to see what happens if this happens and that happens, if there is an uprising, if some minority has a separatist identity, if this or that goes on. Not that we want them to happen, but we don't want those things to happen. So to prevent those things from happening, we want to know how strong or weak is India in various areas of vulnerability. So this is not to find, because there's some kind of conspiracy of all the forces that are going to make me unhealthy. I go for a stress test because I want to find out what the factors are. And if there are 5 factors, they could be related, they could not be related. So similarly, in the case of the stresses that India faces for potential threats to sovereignty, some of these factors could be all related. There may be some conspiracy, some of them may be very independent. In any case, we are not trying to uncover a conspiracy per se. We are presenting the data that we have found out. And the data is very difficult to refute. You may disagree with the interpretation of the data. You may say there is some other reason for it, not the reason we found. And that's also okay. Because what we really want more than anything else is to start a discussion, to start a debate, to start a conversation on what is the nature of minority, what is the nature of the external intervention to co-opt and appropriate these minorities in India, and whether this is being done for one reason or another reason, whether it is several reasons, several different parties or one conspirator. The answer doesn't matter, the data still has to be examined. So we would like to present the risk factors for India's future health as a sovereign nation. And of course, people can quickly dismiss it as, okay, here's another conspiracy theory. But the number of parties outside of India who seem to be very obsessively sponsoring all kinds of things to help various Indian minorities is suspiciously large. Yeah, and it is the US, it is European, UK based. It is church, it is human rights groups, it is academic groups, it is private think tanks, it is so many different kinds of groups, from the right wing, from the left wing. Now, this is too much to be just a coincidence. But we are not in this book primarily interested in presenting some cohesive conspiracy by one particular party as such. Merely give you a lot of evidence and a lot of factors and a lot of forces so that in future people can do further research and find out things like whether there's a conspiracy or whether it just happens to be random. Also, I want to mention that even if there are some people who are conspirators, I would say vast majority of those who are involved are innocent. They're just involved because somebody calls up and says, here is an opportunity or here is a way to help people, and they take it at face value and they get involved. So even if there were a conspiracy, I am not insinuating people in India are involved. I'm insinuating that they are being appropriated and co-opted, and maybe there is some force somewhere and maybe not, which has to be found out.